Hello YouTubers, this is the Scribe and thank you for watching this YouTube video. So recently, it's kind of over the last year or so, trying not to stumble on my words there, but I got like a ketone meter online. I kind of bought it off Amazon, and I bought some strips as well, which are like ketone strips. So it's a bit like, I'm not sure if you can see that. Maybe one day I should get a better camera than this, but yeah, maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. But you sort of get the idea of what it is. It's a bit like the glucose measuring machines, where you take a drop of blood off your fingers and then you put it on the meter, and it gives out a reading of something like 5.0, and you know you're good and you haven't got diabetes, or your blood sugar's good even though you have diabetes. Whichever one it is, hopefully it is good for you. Now, here's the thing, right? I decided to do a little experiment. The ketone strips are quite expensive. They're like £1 per test, basically. So I bought something like a packet of 40, and it cost them like 40 quid. So hopefully they work, because otherwise you're just wasting money. Anyway, I did a number of different experiments. I was measuring the ketone readings during a fasting period. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go on a fast and have like an 18-hour fast, or a 24-hour fast, or 36-hour fast. And I was going for as long as I possibly could, because I'm a bit of a greedy git and I tend to eat a lot. I shouldn't do, because it's not good for me, but I do. And every so often I go, I need to give my body a rest from all the food and junk I'm eating. So I give it a rest, and I go on a fast, and then I look at the ketone readings on this meter, and the readings were very, very strange. It always shows it increases as you're in a fast, but it gives such bizarre results sometimes. I do question whether the devices are actually just guessing. So I took a reading something like 16 hours into a fast, or something like 16-17 hours in the fast, and I always noticed that after sleeping during the fast, right, the ketone levels always increased. They always came up. So I look at, one time I was looking at it, I said 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2 ketones, and there's always some levels of ketones in your body while you're doing these tests. So even if you're not fasting, there's always some ketones in your body, even though on a minuscule level, something like 0.1, 0.2, unless you don't have the ability to break down fat at all, or you don't have the ability to store fat, which is extremely rare. We're talking like 1 in 10,000 cases where people can't do that. So most of us have ketones in the body at all times, right? And it's just the fact that your body's breaking down fat and turning it into fatty acids, which are ketones, and it can also turn it into glucose, but usually it will turn into ketones first. Okay, so we get that out of the way. And when I was doing these tests, I was getting like 2.2 in the morning. When I say morning, after I wake up, basically, because I'm a bit of a weirdo. I tend to sleep at any old time I want to, almost, unless I'm doing something which I need to, like work or whatever. But I tend to have naps all the time, so I'm a bit strange that way. And when I was measuring after sleeping, the ketones levels would increase, especially after around about the 14th hour. So as long as I've been fasting for a number of hours before sleeping, and then I sleep, the ketone levels rise. Otherwise it does remain the same. And then one day I came back and I thought, maybe I'm not going to get into ketosis at all for days, right? And then suddenly 2.2, right? 2.4 the next day, right? So the ketone levels were actually pretty good after fasting, after waking up. And they do say don't test in the morning because your ketone levels should be lower. I found it very different. I found my ketones higher in the morning than they were any other time. They tend to drop during the day, and that kind of makes sense. You're not doing anything when you're sleeping. And when they say you shouldn't test your ketones after waking up, I disagree with that, because it's more likely to be high, but there's something called the dawn phenomenon, which would actually increase your glucose level and drop your ketones. But there's also called the insulin effect as well, which if your insulin falls while you're sleeping, your ketone levels will increase. So you don't know which one it's going to be, and that's what they don't mention on other sites. So I found that's actually a good thing, because I did some investigation online, and it did mention about the insulin effect of ketones, which is when you sleep, your ketone levels will increase if your insulin is dropping. So take that into mind. That's not necessarily a good sign, by the way. That could be a sign of diabetes or something. But if you're being fasting, it's not. Okay, here's another thing. I did a test. Right? I want to see how accurate these things are. Right? And I being a student of science, so to speak, because I did some science in school and college, and they say you should do more than one test, because one of them could be a mistake. That's what I did. Right, so I woke up one morning and I measured 3.0 ketones, which is very, very high on one of the fingers, this one. Right? And then I tested this one and it measured 0.1 within minutes after. Now, that's a 3,000% difference of ketones. And I was thinking, every single time I measured the right hand, right, in the last few days of having the, I bought this a number of weeks ago, right, every time I measure the right hand, it always measures high ketones than the left hand. So I repeated the experiment. I tested the right hand again, and it said 0.2, which is 100% higher than the left hand had measured. And I thought that's weird, because that's disagreeing with the other test strip. So I went online and I did more investigation, saying why is it giving me some different readings, and they said something about strip calibration, so they're not calibrated properly. And I thought, well, maybe one of them was defunct and not working, but then again, maybe you could have all of them defunct and not working properly. So I went back and tested the left hand again, and it went back to 0.2. Now this is a baseline, if you notice, because 0.2 is normally where the baseline is for me. And I thought, okay, what happens if one of the fingers just had a higher ketone levels? So I thought, well, let's test the finger that I just tested. So I went back to the right hand. I know I'm a bit strange like this, and I tested it, and it said 0.9. I thought, bloody hell, what's going on here? And then, I tested another finger on the right hand, and it said 0.8. And then the other hand agreed with the 0.8 reading. So I really can't make heads or tails of that. I mean, these results are so ridiculously absurd. I mean, two of the results agreed with each other, 0.2, 0.2, and then another two agreed at 0.8 and 0.8. So the tests were sort of agreeing with each other, not agreeing with each other. So if you think about what the lowest reading I had was 0.1, and then it turned to 0.2, which is 100% increase in ketone levels, or 100% increase in accuracy, right? And the first reading I measured was 3.0. That's a 3,000% difference than the other measures, right? And then at some point at 0.9, which is almost 500% difference, and then it went to 0.8, which is something like 20% difference. So people would say you normally just take a mean average, but there is no mean average. It's given completely different results. But it is true that one hand has higher ketones than the other. Now, I don't know why that is. I can't give an explanation of why that is at all. And that's why, one of the reasons why I made this video, because I'm hoping that somebody who's watching the video would actually understand what I'm trying to say here. Do you know what's going on here? Why would one hand be given a higher reading than the other? I know that one of them was given strange readings. Maybe some of the strips were uncalibrated properly, but then again, they still had more or less similar readings. But I do measure higher on the right hand than I do on the left hand on average, and it has been a consistent difference. It's not like it's just one off. It's been consistent. It's only measured the same once, right, or twice, where it was like 0.2, 0.2, 0.8, 0.8. But you sort of understand where I'm coming from. So what exactly is going on there? I personally need to do more investigation in this because I don't know myself. I'm just making a video and trying to discuss about it. But yeah, it is a good idea to actually, try this sort of thing like fasting and measuring your ketone levels. And it's a bit of a pain in the ass to prick your finger and bleed all over the place. But it's something I've been doing just to experiment and to understand how my body's working. I think other people should probably do the same to their own bodies, really. So the one thing I have learned from it is that I can sort of go into ketosis, right? Another thing I've learned is not to trust what everybody else says online, because they're all talking about, oh, your ketone levels will be low in the morning or after you sleep. That's not what I found. If I had not tested in the morning, I would never have discovered that I was going into ketosis, because it would all equal out to 0.2 during a fast within hours later, because your body's burning through the ketones. They don't mention that. So yeah, you should actually also measure in the morning or after you slept. That's a good idea, especially if it's been something like past 16-hour mark of fasting. It's a defo, you should do that. Anyway, thank you for listening to my video and watching it, whatever you're doing, and see you for now. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Bye bye.